as you may know, what I have been doing is I've been trying to recalibrate a lot of the projects that I've been doing, moving the microphone over here, trying to recalibrate several different projects that I've been doing in order to take advantage of more digital and also print on demand offerings. So originally I had this book set up to do offset printing. And so it was a little bit different size, but this is actually a very good size as far as I am concerned. So that was a problem because when Brianna laid this book out, and so it was designed for offset printing on a different size. And so then I've gone to trying to look at print on demand is what I'm thinking about doing. I'm thinking about running just a Kickstarter for this book. Of course, I've got some prototypes of the action figures. I've got prototypes of the stuffed animals, but each one of those requires a major commitment to inventory, a minimum order and stuff like that. And it didn't seem like I had been able to generate enough energy last year in order to get those projects off the ground. So that's why I've been moving toward some of the more digital and print on demand products. So what I think might be a good idea in order to go ahead and get Tales of Rabavania underway, so we can get it underway and then also going to other worlds, is to start with let's do Goodnight Sword, this children's book that is, and just do it digital and print on demand on Kickstarter. That's what I'm thinking right now. So I'll have to adjust what's on Kickstarter, because I built out a really nice Kickstarter page for an action figure prototype and then the stuffed animals and then the Goodnight Sword as well. But we roll with what we got here. So I think we just start this first and try to get this underway. So it says, Goodnight Sword is a medieval themed bedtime story set in a world of rabbits inspired by the beloved children's classic. In the great hall of the castle, tucked away in his little blanket, is Pate, a page of the hall. Good night, sword, good night, gourd, he says, as a fire flickers and the minstrel softly strums his lyre. To the guards, the dagger, the iron hauberk, the helm, and the squire who diligently polishes it, the knights, the old soldier, the fair maiden who granted him her favor, and every rabbit in the world, little Pate says good night. We got the Tales of Rabavania logo on here and the Ravenkeep logo. This was illustrated by Adam M. Botsford. And so let's see here. I dedicated it to my niece and nephews. And so this is Elmhearth. This is one of our major locations in the Tales of Rabavania story. They've got their castle under this elm that's on this cliff here. And you see the lake down beneath. And this gives you, and of course, this is their Great Hall that is underneath the subterranean Great Hall. So you can see it's hanging off because you can see the sky over here. It's I think that down here, like you can see down here. So I think this is the Great Hall, or I intended for this to be the Great Hall right here. So they're halfway in, halfway out, overlooking this lake. Oh, should I issue a spoiler warning? Well, yes, I suppose I should. Spoiler warning just in case. Hey, Retro Nerd Girl, welcome. Good to see you. So you can see the roots of the elm that are growing up into the Great Hall right here. So this passage over here would go deeper into the underground levels of this warren. This is the coat of arms of the Baron who runs the place. That's his wife's coat of arms. His wife is actually also a knight. And then you've got Sir Merrick and Sir Bors over here, and one of the squires. And so we made this image right here as intending, so after you've gone through the entire book, you can come back and see all the different things that we're saying goodnight to here. And as you can see, Pate is sleeping over here in the corner. Because I figured that this is the common area, so after everybody's eaten and things like that, some of the rabbits, you can say, put out pallets and things like that on the floor, and so they probably sleep in here as well. So that page, and then we go over to Pate. Now, of course, you can see that I do have, I don't think we're going to be ready yet. So we'll just have to do this in separate Kickstarters or whatever. But here is the prototype of the Pate plush toy. And I think that'd be really fun to have. So the prototype's made, but I don't think we're going to have enough energy to put that into production right now. So I'm holding off on that. We'll just do the book first. So Pate is right here saying goodnight. Goodnight Sword. And as you can see, the problem was last time, the problem with the first proof was that there was some kind of error with getting this like cloud shape in here that Brianna put in. It was blocking it out. So there was something that was wrong with the PDF. It wasn't like that in the PDF, but there was some kind of translation error or something that by the time the PDF was printed, it was an error. So Goodnight Swords, that's right. That's when I looked in, I was like, okay, the obvious error has been collected. I really like the realistic sword and also the bucklers that are down here. Goodnight Gourd. Goodnight Guards, who keep us all safe. Goodnight Dagger. And the Iron Hallberg. Goodnight Cheese. We also introduced the mice. Goodnight Cheese. Oh, I meant to say, so you can see this place is also, when we were looking at the Tales of Rabivania World Primer, we talked about the mice. There is an order of mice knights. And those mice, and they fly hawks. They all, in order to become a knight of this order, the mice have to take a hawk from its nest and then break the hawk and train it. But it's very dangerous because a lot of the mice squires, that's a step that you have to do. A lot of them get eaten or get eaten later by their hawks. But that actually happens here at Elmhearth because they live in the tree up here in Elmhearth. So this order is here. And so that's why I've got this door right here that goes to the outside, so that there's like a perch or something out here so that the mice knights, when they need to arrive, they can fly right up here, perch their hawk outside, and then immediately enter the Great Hall, bringing news or whatever else from their flight abroad. But also introducing the mice over here. Goodnight Cheese. So let's see here. James says, I like it. It's homely. Or homey. Sable Phoenix says, how was the art made and who made it? Oh, it said it was illustrated by Adam M. Botsford. So Brianna laid the book out. I wrote it. Adam Botsford illustrated it, and then Brianna laid it out. It's digital creations by Adam M. Botsford. So it says, James says, I bet they accidentally printed the whole frame rather than the contents. Empty space in a frame just prints as white. Could be. What I ended up doing was exporting high resolution PNGs because I had the original. I've got the original PSDs that Adam submitted. So I exported PNG files to make sure that the image was just the image and then rebuilt a PDF. So that fixed that problem. Retro Nerd Girl says, the details are wonderful. They are. Adam did a wonderful job with this. So Goodnight Cheese. Goodnight Keys. Goodnight Elm. And Goodnight Helm. Goodnight Squire. And Goodnight Liar. Goodnight Shield. And goodnight to the lance, only the gallant wield. Goodnight Banner. Now, see, actually, here's something that I wish we had done. Now I wish we had actually put like a bar or something like that with a rope above them or something like that. I didn't really think about that at the time, but my youngest nephew, no, it's not my youngest nephew anymore. I have a new one. But one of my nephews was reading this, and my brother was reading it to him, and he was reading him the digital version. And he stopped and he said, those aren't banners. Those are more shields. So he interpreted them as more shields, which they could certainly be. So that's why I was like, we should have had the bar and something hanging up above them. Goodnight Banner. And Goodnight Jewel. Goodnight Gruel. Goodnight Knights. And goodnight to the old soldier who says time's been cruel. Goodnight Maiden Fair, whose favor I bear. Goodnight Rabbits everywhere. And then we've got something about here, advertisement for this channel and the Rabivania YouTube channel. And then the about. So Adam Botsford says, Adam M. Botsford is a freelance illustrator and children's book author. He comes to illustration with a special education background and a master's degree in industrial design. His previous children's books, including the Dog Coffee book and Horatio, are tales of friendship, family, and diversity.